There's something strange going on in the job market. Over the last few months, thousands and thousands of fired employees have been called back by big tech companies to rejoin the firm. Even in Google, 20% of the software engineers hired for artificial intelligence roles in 2025 were boomerang employees, meaning people who came back to the company after leaving earlier. It's very clear that companies now have started to realize that AI cannot replace humans completely. Over half of all employers now regret their AI-driven layoffs way back in 2023 and 2024. But it's not just regret that is making them rehire their staffs. There are many other important factors that is making them do this. To understand why is this happening in the job market, we actually have to look backwards. Just a few years before the famous dot-com boom and crash, the United States went through something very similar to what we're seeing today, an intense wave of excitement around artificial intelligence. This surge wasn't random. It was largely driven by fear and competition, especially with Japan. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, Japan quickly became a dominant force in several key industries like precision manufacturing, shipping, and consumer electronics. To push even further ahead, Japan launched a major government-backed initiative known as the Fifth Generation Computer Systems Program. The goal was ambitious: to create machines that could think, reason, and communicate like humans. This triggered alarm bells in the United States. Policymakers, business leaders, and analysts began to frame artificial intelligence as a critical tool for economic survival. The narrative was simple: if the US didn't invest heavily in AI, it risked falling behind. In response, the US government invested hundreds of millions of dollars into AI research, especially in something called expert systems. These systems were designed to mimic human decision-making using logical rules. The idea was that they could solve complex problems and potentially replace highly skilled workers. But things didn't go as planned. Instead of delivering real results, many companies rushed to jump on the trend. They exaggerated what these systems could actually do, focusing more on appearing innovative than on building something practical. The technology at the time simply wasn't advanced enough to handle real-world complexity. As a result, these systems often failed when put into actual use. They struggled with unpredictable situations, lacked flexibility, and couldn't adapt the way humans can. The gap between expectations and reality became painfully obvious. The fallout was significant. Jobs were lost, large amounts of public money were wasted, and the workforce had to deal with the consequences of yet another hype cycle that didn't live up to its promises. Now fast forward to today, and we're seeing a very similar pattern repeat itself. Once again, artificial intelligence is being promoted as a revolutionary force that will transform productivity and replace human labor. And once again, companies are making major decisions, like layoffs, based on that promise, even though the technology hasn't fully proven itself. Recent research highlights just how wide the gap still is between AI hype and reality. A new benchmark called the Remote Labor Index was created to test whether modern AI systems can actually perform real, economically valuable work at scale. Researchers evaluated some of the most advanced models built by major companies, assigning them freelance-style tasks that humans typically perform. The results were surprisingly poor. Even the best performing AI system managed to automate just over 4% of the tasks. Others performed even worse, with some barely reaching 1%. These numbers are far from what would be needed to replace human workers in any meaningful way. And these limitations aren't just theoretical, they're showing up in real-world applications. For example, a major fast food chain experimented with AI-powered drive-through systems. The idea was to automate order taking and improve efficiency. Instead, the system made frequent mistakes. Orders were miscalculated, items were incorrectly added, and sometimes the results were almost absurd, like orders totaling hundreds of chicken nuggets or strange combinations like bacon added to desserts. Eventually, the company quietly shut down the project. In the automotive industry, similar issues have appeared. Highly publicized self-driving services have struggled to meet expectations. In some cases, fully autonomous operations had to be paused or redefined because the systems weren't reliable enough. Reports even suggested that certain vehicles were involved in accidents at significantly higher rates than human drivers. Another company developing autonomous driving technology admitted during a hearing that their vehicles sometimes rely on remote human operators to step in when the AI gets confused. So while the system appears automated, there's often still a human behind the scenes making critical decisions. The situation becomes even more serious in fields like healthcare. AI has been integrated into various medical devices intended to assist doctors and surgeons. But after these updates, reports of malfunctions and complications increase sharply. In one case, incidents jumped from just a handful to over 100 after AI was introduced. While companies often claim there's no direct proof that AI caused these issues, the timing raises concerns. Lawsuits have followed, and the risks are much higher when mistakes affect human health. Today, there are over 1,000 AI-enabled medical devices approved for use. However, some of them are showing worrying signs. For instance, certain AI-powered diagnostic tools have incorrectly flagged serious conditions, like heart failure, at very high rates, while imaging systems have misidentified basic anatomical features. All of this leads to an important question. If AI still struggles with even a small percentage of human tasks and often fails in real-world scenarios, why have so many companies already laid off large numbers of workers? The answer may not be what it seems. In many cases, AI has become a convenient explanation rather than the real reason. It provides a futuristic narrative that makes difficult business decisions easier to justify. Take large tech companies as an example. Some have announced major layoffs while claiming they are restructuring around AI. At the same time, they continue to hire workers in other ways, including through global labor programs. There are also platforms where human workers are paid to complete small tasks that AI cannot handle. These workers often operate behind the scenes, correcting errors and filling in the gaps. So while the system appears automated, it still relies heavily on human input. In reality, AI hasn't replaced workers. It has changed how and where the work is being done. At a broader level, AI investment is also playing a role in the economy. Some analysts suggest that without the massive spending on AI-related projects, economic growth would look much weaker. In that sense, AI is helping maintain the appearance of progress, even if the underlying productivity gains are still limited. But this approach comes with risks. If the expected returns from AI don't materialize, the gap between expectations and reality could lead to another major correction. Even leaders in the industry have acknowledged that significant additional investment, potentially trillions of dollars, may be needed before AI becomes truly profitable at scale. There's also a growing issue, which is mostly behind the scenes: technical debt. As companies rush to implement AI systems, they often build on top of existing infrastructure that wasn't designed for it. This creates complexity and instability. Maintaining these systems becomes harder, especially when experienced workers have already been let go. As a result, some companies are quietly trying to reverse course. They're reaching out to former employees, especially senior engineers, asking them to return and help fix the problems. But these workers don't come back under the same terms. Instead, they often return as consultants, charging significantly higher rates. Companies end up paying more to regain the expertise they previously let go, simply to keep their systems running smoothly. This has led to what some call the rise of boomerang employees, workers who leave or are laid off, only to be brought back later under better conditions. All of this suggests that the original cost-saving strategy didn't fully work as intended. That doesn't mean AI has no value. On the contrary, it is a powerful tool. It can automate repetitive tasks, assist with coding, and improve efficiency in many workflows. But it's still just a tool. It cannot replace human judgment, creativity, or experience. Complex problem-solving, decision-making, and adaptability are areas where humans still have a clear advantage. The challenge is that many decision-makers may not fully understand these limitations. The push for rapid adoption has, in some cases, outpaced a realistic understanding of what the technology can actually do. This creates a disconnect between expectations and outcomes. For workers, especially in tech, this environment can feel confusing. Job markets appear unstable, layoffs happen suddenly, and opportunities can seem uncertain. But there are signs that the situation may be shifting. As companies recognize the limits of automation, the value of experienced professionals is becoming clearer again. The demand for real expertise hasn't disappeared. It was simply underestimated. In many ways, the cycle is starting to turn. The idea that AI could quickly replace large portions of the workforce is beginning to lose credibility. Businesses are realizing that successful implementation requires a balance between automation and human skill. Experience cannot be easily replicated, and while the past few years have been shaped by excitement and rapid change, the next phase may be more grounded in reality. For now, the most important takeaway is this: AI is not a magic solution. It's a developing technology with real potential, but also clear limitations. Understanding those limits and using the technology wisely will be key moving forward. If you've been following changes in your own industry, you may already be noticing this shift. Some companies are slowing down, others are adjusting strategies, and many are reevaluating how they use AI. The story isn't over yet, but it's becoming clearer. And as the hype settles, what remains will likely be a more practical, balanced approach. One where AI supports human work rather than trying to replace it entirely. Let me know your thoughts in the comment below and make sure to subscribe for our next interesting video coming soon. This is Rob, and you are watching Beyond Economy.